Let us go one by one. What exactly we are going to do here in the 6th chapter? The chapter says that ARM programming using assembly language. We have already started this, how to write the program. I think most of you might have written the programming concept in your first IA. We are given two topics. One is adding, that is moving from one location to another location. Other is that is LSL operation. There was some mistake in the LSL instruction. One of your friend has identified that. If you attended, you'll get the marks. Okay. If you attended the question, you'll definitely will get the marks over there. Don't worry for that. There was some error when I'm typo error. It is going to be no issues. We'll go ahead. ARM programming using assembly language. Writing assembly code. How we can write the assembly code? That is the first thing. Second thing, profiling and cycle counting means very, very important. If one instruction I am executing, what is the cycle counting we are going to have? How much cycles it's going to take to execute one particular instruction? That is one thing. Instruction scheduling. How it will schedule the instruction? Any instruction to be scheduled to your controller, how it will schedule that? That is ARM. Then register allocation. What are the different registers will be allocated? The different registers will be allocated. You can look into that. Conditional execution like branch if not equal to, branch is equal to, all those things are there. Conditional execution, looping construct. So branch and conditional, it will be loop. It's going to be, I can repeat the loop. I can, those things, higher programming language, you might have done that. How we are going to do the same thing in your assembly language, we are going to discuss here. Okay, let's move ahead. So topic, we have discussed, these are the main topics. Moving ahead with the chapter number 6. This is chapter number 6 is what the topic. Optimizing, writing and optimizing ARM assembly code. We have to write and optimize the ARM assembly code. Anybody can write it. So everyone will be having their own flavor of writing the code. But we have to see to that how optimistically, I mean, how we can optimize. By optimizing these routines, means code should be as less as possible. It is not that a simple program should carry some 20 lines or 30 lines just by adding 2 numbers. So you can write the program within 5 lines, or you can write the program even for 10 lines also. So you have to see to that optimization is very, very important. How good I can write the program, how much cycles it can take, minimum how much cycles it is going to take, how much time it's going to take, all those things we have to look into. By embedded system software projects often contain a few key subroutines. Definitely, any embedded system, it will be having key subroutines. Like, see, a simple weighing machine, a digital weighing machine, you may be finding that in grocery shop. Okay, any grocery shop, they will be, or even vegetable shop. A simple weighing machine is there. As soon as you put the item in that one, it will show what is the grams, and some higher end weighing machine, what it will do, as soon as you give the, they might have given the keys, 1 for one particular item, 2 for other particular item, 3 for other particular item. So as soon as they press the number 1, it's going to calculate what is the amount of that one. That is a simple embedded system. I'm just talking about an example, a simple embedded system where it has to take very less power consumption and optimization of the code and reduce the clock cycle, clock speed, and real-time application. Real-time it should operate. So all those things we should take care. So to write that, to make sure that when it will do all these things, we should ensure that when a program is optimized program, we have to write it over. Optimization can turn an infeasible system into a feasible one. Optimization can turn infeasible system into feasible one. So obviously it's going to be, it should be a feasible one. It should not like, it should not take 5 minutes to count, 5 minutes to weigh, or not even for 5 minutes, even for 5 seconds if it takes also, it's going to be a, we cannot say it's a real time. an uncompetitive system into a competitive one. This is what optimization says. Any real-time application, it should have an optimization. See, if I'm ringing to one of my friend, if it takes 2 minutes to get connected, it is not optimization. Even if it takes 15 seconds also, I may get irritated. So you should know optimization techniques. You should have optimization such a way that way it will go ahead. It will provide you the proper results. Okay, moving ahead. If you write your C code carefully using the rules given in chapter 5, that is chapter 5, this is before this, you will have a relevant, efficient implementation. Same thing we can implement here also. However, how we are doing in higher level programming language, the same thing we can do in our assembly language also. Writing assembly by hand gives you direct control of 3 optimization tools that you cannot explicitly use by writing C source. Okay, writing by hand, you should write. What are those? One is the instruction scheduling. First one is the instruction scheduling. Second one is the register allocation. And third one is the conditional execution. That is what the syllabus. Entire syllabus is entire syllabus in the sense entire chapter is basically depends on these particular 3 operations. One is the when we are going to schedule the instruction, when we are going to allocate the register, what type of register we are going to allocate. The third one is conditional execution. Let us see one by one. Reordering the instruction in a code sequence to avoid process stalls. We can reorder the instructions. Process should not get hanged. Process should not get hanged over there. So we have to reorder, we have to efficiently, we have to place the instruction. Since ARM implementations are pipeline, the timing of an instruction can be affected by neighboring instruction. Definitely. Timing is always very, very important. Whichever the neighboring instruction is there, if it is taking more time, that may affect the current instruction. What are the previous instruction? If it is taking more time, that will affect my instruction also, current instruction. So register allocation, deciding how variables should be allocated to ARM register or stack location for maximum performance. So that is also very, very important. Maximum performance, we have to look into that. Deciding how variables should be allocated. Our goal is to minimize the number of memory accesses. So always going to memory, accessing the data and sending back to the memory should not be done. It's been discussed in the previous section itself. Previous discussion only, we have done that. So as less as possible, you have to use the memory, that is external memory. You should always, everything should be done within the registers itself. You have to ensure that when all the operations we are going to do using registers, finally we are going to dump it back to the memory. That is one thing. Conditional execution, accessing the full range of ARM conditions, code, and conditional instruction. You should always make use of effectively the use of the conditional branch instructions so that you can keep on repeating the same code so that the instruction size will not increase, execution time will not increase, duty cycle, number of cycles will not increase. So all those things, conditional execution, if you do, it will be effective. It takes additional effort to optimize assembly routines, so don't bother to optimize non-critical ones. That is also very important. Non-critical operations should not be optimized. Only critical can be optimized. When you take the time to optimize a routine, it has the side benefit of giving you a better understanding of the algorithms. Obviously, algorithms can be understand better or efficiently when you optimize the routine. When you go for optimization of the routine, you can go for better execution. Okay, better understanding of the algorithm, its bottleneck, and data flow. Data flow also can be verified. Optimization algorithm also can be effectively, we can understand. So here the first thing is writing the assembly code. We'll see one by one how exactly we can write the assembly code. Hope you're able to see the screen. All of you are able to see the screen. Are you getting what I am discussing? Hope everyone is getting the thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, it's very simple. I'm just reading the textbook. Okay, it's showing how exactly we can write the assembly code. This is already we know. No need to discuss. This is the C program, the same C program. How to write the C program in your assembly code. This is an example for your C program, right from your. I think some of you may have started in engineering. Some of you might have started earlier also. This is how you are going to write the C program. But how to write this one in assembly? That is the question here. Because user can know C program, but machine has to know only assembly program. Machine will know only assembly program. Let us see here. What they have done in this program, square of a number, square of a given number, 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. That is the program. We have to find the square of the given number. Find the square of 0, square of 1, square of 2, square of 3, like that we have to do that one. Now the same thing I need to do in my assembly program. See here, assembly program, how it is doing. As we know that one, we have to start with the area. Area, we should give the text, some text, that is area name, code read only, export square, something they have given. Then it will directly, don't worry about the export, just come here, square. With a semicolon, if it is there, it's a comma, comment. Now R0 is multiplied, then R1 is the result. Then R1 has been given to R0. Then someone is discussing. Who is that other than me? Anybody switched on their this one? No. Okay. Here I am getting the square of one number that's been given to R1. Then that result what we are having, that is been given to R0. Then the link register what we are having, that has to be moved to program counter. Then end, they are given. So this is a simple program where we are not repeating anything. We're not repeating anything. So let us see how it has been explained. Just a square of a number has been given here, but it's not repeated. The area directive name is the area code section that the code is live in, that we know that. Export directive makes the symbol square available for external linking. There is export directive, we're having that link square. Okay, that link square export directive, it will go to, so this is just a comment. Second line, this line is a comment, and here it will directly go here. At line 6, we define the symbol square as a code label. This is the 6th line defined. Note that ARM assembly treats the non-indented text as a label definition. See, non-indented, we are not indented it. That is called as a label. If it is indented, then we'll not call as a label. If it is non-indented, we'll call as a label. That means if this word is at the extreme left, then it's a label. The word is a little bit pushed, then we call this a instruction, or we may call it as a some variable or data it's going to be. Okay, note the ARM instruction tree. When the square is called, the parameter passing is defined by the ATPCS. Okay, that is different. The input argument is passed in register R0, and the return value is returned in register R0. Both it will do. Once it will do input value is R0, that will be given square. It will be given to R1, and finally the R1 value has been given to R0. Okay. The multiply instruction has a restriction that the destination register must not be the same as the first argument register. That is the problem with multiply instruction. Okay, multiply instruction is having a problem. We cannot multiply and keep it in the same register. You cannot multiply and keep the value in the same register. This question asked by some student, but that's not possible. So we have to multiply a register or two register, and the destination register should be different. The multiply instruction has a restriction. Okay. Therefore, we place the multiply register into result into R1 and move that to R0. That's why we cannot multiply and keep it in R0. So multiplied result is kept in R1. Then R1 is once again moved back to R0. The end derivative marks the end of the assembly program. So this is just one operation. Square of one value is doing over. Let us see further what's going to happen. See, this is C program that's going to create your assembly and assembly program is going to do. Now we will move on to the next one, 6.2. It is, yeah, this is 6.2. See, it's repeating. See here, BXLR, BXLR. I told you BX, what is BX, what is BL, and all those things I have told you in the beginning. BX, it will return. Okay, it's going to return. So it's going to perform return or not. Instead of going for move CR, that is what is that? The instruction move PC comma LR. Instead of going for move PC comma LR, we can directly go for BXLR branch instruction we are using. So it's going to that is PC program counter and also link register. It's going to be moved. Link register will be moved to program counter. With this example, we build the C file using the ThumbC compiler C. We assemble the program file with the interlocking flag enabled so that the linker will allow the ThumbC code to call the ARM assembly code. You can use the following commands to build the example. That is not required. Don't worry about this. Let us go further with the third one. Import, export they have used. The example shows how to call the subroutine from the assembly routine. We will take the example. So this is not required. Just they are showing how a thumbing instruction will be used over there. We'll see to that one later. Here they have used how to go back, because add one. We are adding one. One will be added, one will be added, one will be added. If it is comparing with 10 until 10, it's keep on comparing, then it's going to be multiple. This is where your score of a number is going to be. Score of 1 to 10 is going to perform over there. Score of 1 to 10 will be performed. So, and DCB is given as 0, and DCB has been somewhere where it is DCB has not been given. Let us go back. Yeah, it's not been given here. ADR, print string. This print string is there now. Address of that one has been given to R0. R1 has been given value of I. I may be having 0, and 0 into 0 is 0. Then 0, 1 will be added to that 0 here. That will come out. So like this, you keep on adding, and up to 10, it's keep on performing, and you're going to get the score of the number. It may look a bit tedious at the beginning, but when you execute this code, you can easily get the value over there. So my suggestion, sincere suggestion, we have to practice writing the program. Keep writing the program. Okay. So on a paper you have to write. Don't try it on. Okay, you can try it on system also, because on a paper when you're trying also, you may find that one whether it's right or wrong. But if you do it on a system, easily you can get that one. Easily you can get the values. So this is the program what we're supposed to write for square of the numbers from 0 to 10. Square of 0 to 10. The numbers what we have to write over there. So let us go ahead. The thing is been explained in the theory part. What is RN? What is LS, SP? What is stack pointer, program counter, and everything. You can go ahead with this. This example defines a function sum of. There is a sum of function which has been defined. Sum of function we have defined over there. So that can sum any number of integers. That can sum any number of integers. You may having some 1, 2, 3 in the function. How many integers you might have passed? All those integers will be added over there. Sum of integers will be added. Just 1 second. I got a message. Okay. Here you've done sum of. You're calling 1, 2, 3, 4. So depending on the first integer, total number of variable values you want to sum. So it's going to, you can call that one. You can call that sum and you can perform. This is the C program. Same thing we can write it here. This is the sum of program which can be written using assembly. Which can be written using assembly code. Okay. So this is the first part. How we can write the assembly code over. You can see I have already explained what is sub S. It should update the flags. Move LT. Move LT.
బట్ ఇప్పుడు ఫోన్ చేస్తే క్లీన్ చేసేస్తామంట టేబుల్ పని పెట్టి వాడు తినాలంటే వాడు
Aditya Reddy, better to mute yourself. I cannot go and check each time and who is talking and all. See, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. But don't simply unmute yourself and leave it as it is. Okay? Any doubt here as of now? How the assembly level program can be written? Just a simple assembly level program we are writing. Okay? Very simple. All are simple programs. One by one, we'll go ahead and we can execute them and we can check it out. Whether it's working or not, we can check that also, we can do that. Okay. So it is like n is one variable, sum is another variable, some n we are going to allocate 1 or we are going to subtract, and then we are going to put the initially the sum is 0, then we keep on adding the n value. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, like that we can add over there. So each one we are going to add and we are going to check it out. How many numbers we should count it, because n has to be subtracted. It should become 0. Once it becomes 0, it will stop executing. Okay. So there are so many instructions they are given over there. One by one we'll check that. Second one is this very only two they have given like 2 examples. One is finding the square of 0 to 10. Second one is adding the n numbers. We can write the n adding n numbers in different format also, different way also we can write it over there. Okay. So with this, the 6.1 has been discussed. I will come across with the programming. Today I'm not going to do the programming. We can write the program, we can execute it, we can check it out one by one what's happening. Okay. Or if you ran the textbook, you ran the code, this one assembly language with you, try executing this. We'll see how many errors or what type of errors we are going to get, everything we can check it out. Okay. So let us go ahead with the second one, profiling and cycle counting. Very important topic. See, this chapter is very small in size. It's very small in size. It may take maximum 5 hours. It should not take 5 hours also. In detail like this, in this phase, if I go now, it may take 5 hours. Or if I go straight away, if I discuss, it may take 3 hours, maximum 3 hours to complete that one. We'll go slow and steady. We'll execute the programs and this theory part only, how to write the program. But once you move ahead, you will come to know In third module, you'll write the programs, what type of programs you have to write, everything will come to know. Okay. So profiling and cycle counting. Profiling and cycle counting, the first stage of any optimization process is to identify the critical routines and measure their current performance. That is very, very important. What are the critical routines we are having and what is their performance? Any embedded system, there are so many critical programming concepts, the modules will be there. Some of them very critical with respect to time. Time critical is there within the given span of time, given few seconds it has to work, because there may be other component, other operation is waiting for the first one. Just like your big factories and all. If one process is done, then only the second process can be done. A lace manufacturing production house, first the potato has to be chopped properly, then it should be rinsed, then it should be fried. So step by step, it's working over there. The chopping, then fried, or rinsing and frying, they are all linked together. So any embedded system, time is critical, is very, very important. You should see to that one within 5 seconds or within the given amount of time that has to be processed, so that other process can start doing the work over there. So this is how a profiling and cycle counting and routine critical, how critical routines are there, you have to check it out. The profile is a tool that measures the proportion of time or processing cycles spent on each subroutine. You use a profiler to identify the most critical routines. A cycle counter measures the number of cycles taken by the specific routine. You can measure your success by using a cycle counter to benchmark a given subroutine before and after an optimization. The ARM simulator uses by the ADS 1.1 debugger is called the ARM emulator or ARMulator, and provides profiling the cycle counting features. This is a very old one, very old one. Now we have so many new type of emulators, simulators, emulators, everything is there. The ARMulator profile works by sampling the program counter PC at regular intervals. The profiler identifies the function the PC points to and updates a hit counter for each function it encounters. So we have to know how exactly a profiling and cycle counting is going to be done. Next one is instruction scheduling. How we can schedule the instruction. The time taken to execute instruction depends on the implementation pipeline. For this chapter, we assume ARM9. TDMI pipeline timing. That is, ARM9 is having how many? 5 stages. Okay, 5 stages are there. All those 5 stages we have to consider for the discussion. Instructions that are conditional on the value of ARM condition codes in the CPSR take 1 cycle if the condition is not met. Takes 1 cycle if the condition is not met. Okay. If the condition is met, then the following rules apply. Assume that if the condition is not met, it will take only 1 cycle. If the condition is met, then it will follow the particular, all these things is going to perform. ALU operations such as addition, subtraction, and logical operations take 1 cycle generally. ALU operations generally take 1 cycle. This includes a shift by an immediate value. Shift also it will take 1 cycle. If you use a register specified shift, then add 1 cycle. If the register specified, see, immediate value